So my name is Antonio Sanchez. I'm a drummer and composer. I'm currently mostly touring with my band, Migration, which is a sextet. I write and arrange all the music. I've been working with Pat Metheny for 18 years now. Recently did the score for Birdman, the film that won the Oscar. I'm doing a TV show called Get Shorty, which I'm writing all the music, and I do a lot of stuff here in my studio. I'm about to do my next solo record, which I record everything down here and I play all the instruments, called Bad Hombre Volume 2. This is fairly new to me. I never really was into electronics because it was a pain in the butt to begin with. To set up everything. One thing that I've always loved about drums is that no matter what happens, they create sound. You don't have to check any connections. You know, they might sound horrible, but they make a sound. So I always enjoyed the interface with just sound that drums provide. But lately, obviously, thanks to this incredible product, I'm starting to look into possibilities that I never really thought that were possible before, because the interface between electronics and drums was always very lacking. So this new technology really allows you to do something completely different than it's ever been done before. As I've gotten older, my approach to drums and music in general is really all about storytelling. To me, music lacks the interesting side of things if there's not a clear story behind it. So whenever I compose music, whenever I write music, whenever I play, whenever I improvise, my main focus is to tell a story. And that keeps my interest in what I'm doing, and hopefully it keeps other people's interest as well. So to me, you know, the older I get, the more important I realize that storytelling is. But I feel that electronics are adding basically color to what I've been doing. So to me, it's like if I've been writing and playing in black and white in a way, and then adding electronics, you add color. You know, to me, it's that extreme when you can have that array of sounds at your disposal, either with this kind of technology or just with a keyboard and a computer. It really opens up like a completely different world in my playing and my composing. Well, Sensory Percussion is really an incredible product that the first time I used it, I really couldn't grasp the possibilities that now were in front of me. And it's actually a little overwhelming because it's just endless, you know, the amount of things that you can do. So for instance, you know, you can train each drum to play in a bunch of different areas of the drum, depending on the intensity, depending on how you hold the stick, depending on where you hit it. You can have a sound in the middle of the drum. Then as you go, it depends on what patch you're using, but as you go further out of the drum and then you start hitting the rims, then you start getting a different thing. Well, because drums have such amount of dry sounds. Obviously, the cymbals you consider wet sounds, and the drums and the hi-hats you consider dry sounds. But we really lack sustain, and obviously we lack harmony. I mean, you can play a little bit of harmony with what you have, but to me, it's so attractive to have a pad that just sits there. And then that allows you to leave a bunch of space, whereas in other situations, you would be very afraid to leave. So that kind of sustain and just a pad really allows me to think in a completely different way. And then obviously, if you start introducing percussive sounds, but that don't sound at all like a drum set, it all makes you play differently. So one thing that I started noticing in my playing is I started playing in a very linear way. You know, usually I don't play that linear, so I hit one thing at a time and kind of sit with the sound that is producing. And to me, it's really satisfying because it's kind of rediscovering drums themselves because of the way you play them. So, you know, the amount of possibilities that this allows is really mind-boggling. So the way I have set up this session, on the bass drum, I have a really nice low frequency. So that itself gives me sustain when I'm playing the bass drum. And then on the rim, you have a few different notes that go with the scale, which in this case is a pentatonic minor scale. So you change it depending on how fast you hit it. And then on this side snare that I have here is more like a sustain, really nice and clean sound. So depending on where you hit it on the drum, you start getting different pitches. And it's part of the same scale that you assign to it, so you can assign any scale. And then, like I was telling you before, I really like that sustain, so I programmed this sound right here that is from an amazing program called Omnisphere. And then just having that allows me to get into a completely different frame of mind. And then another thing that I program here is when I play this, then I also have a really nice clean patch. And that allows me to. So that sustain already, you know, it's amazing. It makes me play a completely different thing. And then here you have a few different notes from the same scale. And a lot of different percussive sounds here, which in combination with this, so what I like is to combine these sounds with the acoustic drums, because then you can lay a patch, just a pad for you to start playing acoustic drums over, and you know, it's just incredible what you can do. I was looking for sounds, and I wanted to rock out at the end because I love just grooving for on top of like very driving bass line, and I found this really cool sound that I just trigger with hitting this really hard, and then I can start playing. So it just allows me completely different things that I'm used to.